Have you ever wondered how a nation can be completely reborn in just a few decades? How an ancient empire, crumbling and defeated, can transform into a modern, secular republic? This is the story of one man's audacious vision, the story of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of modern Turkey. Imagine the year is 1918. The Ottoman Empire, once a sprawling powerhouse, lies in ruins. After World War I, its territories are being carved up by victorious Allied powers. From these ashes, a military hero emerges. Mustafa Kemal, a brilliant and determined general, refused to accept defeat. He rallied the Turkish people, leading them in a desperate fight for survival, the Turkish War of Independence. Against all odds, he secured Turkish sovereignty, pushing back occupying forces, and laying the groundwork for a brand new nation. But winning the war was just the beginning. Atatürk's real revolution was just getting started. On October 29, 1923, he declared the Republic of Turkey and became its first president. His goal was nothing short of revolutionary: to drag a traditional, multi-ethnic religious empire into the 20th century as a secular, Western-oriented nation-state. This wasn't a slow evolution. It was a radical, top-down transformation. One of his first and most shocking moves was the abolition of the Caliphate in 1924. This wasn't just a political change. It was a seismic cultural shift. The Caliph had been the spiritual leader of Sunni Muslims worldwide for centuries. By abolishing it, Atatürk severed the state's connection to Islamic religious authority, a move that sent shockwaves across the Muslim world. He was drawing a clear line in the sand. The new Turkey would be secular. This principle, known as laicite, or secularism, became the bedrock of his new republic. He didn't just separate religion and state. He actively sought to remove religion from the public sphere. Religious schools were closed. The powerful institution of Islamic law, Sharia, which had governed daily life for centuries, was completely replaced with a new legal system modeled on European codes, like the Swiss Civil Code. This meant that marriage, divorce, and inheritance were no longer governed by religious doctrine, but by secular state law. Atatürk's reforms tore through every aspect of Turkish society. He believed that to be modern, Turkey had to look and act Western. He famously banned the fez, a traditional hat worn by Ottoman men, promoting European-style hats instead. He encouraged Western-style clothing for both men and women. This wasn't just about fashion. It was a symbolic break with the Ottoman past. These changes were often enforced by law, leading to resistance and resentment among more traditional segments of the population. Perhaps one of his most lasting reforms was the alphabet change. In Ijo Arba, Atatürk replaced the Arabic script, used to write Ottoman Turkish for centuries, with a new Latin-based alphabet. Think about that for a moment. Overnight, an entire nation's literary heritage became inaccessible to the next generation. The goal was to increase literacy. The Latin script was easier to learn and to further distance Turkey from its Middle Eastern and Islamic roots, orienting it toward Europe. Massive public campaigns were launched across the country to teach the new alphabet to everyone, from children to the elderly. Atatürk himself traveled the country with a blackboard, personally teaching the new letters. And then there were his revolutionary changes for women. In an era when women in many Western countries were still fighting for basic rights, Atatürk's Turkey made incredible strides. In 1934, Turkish women were granted full universal suffrage, the right to vote and to stand for office. This was years, even decades, before countries like France, Italy, or Switzerland granted women the same rights. The new civil code also gave women equal rights in divorce, custody, and inheritance. Atatürk championed education for girls and encouraged women to enter the workforce and professions previously reserved for men. He famously said, "Humankind is made up of two sexes, women and men. Is it possible for humankind to grow by the improvement of only one part, while the other part is ignored? Is it possible that if half of a mass is tied to earth with chains, the other half can soar into the sky?" To solidify this new national identity, He also championed a new narrative of Turkish history, one that emphasized a pre-Ottoman and pre-Islamic Turkic past. He introduced the surname law in 1934, requiring all citizens to adopt a last name. He himself was given the name Atatürk by the Grand National Assembly, which means Father of the Turks. This was all part of a grand project to create a unified, modern Turkish citizen. But this incredible transformation came at a cost. Atatürk's methods were often authoritarian. He ruled a one-party state for most of his presidency. Opposition was suppressed, sometimes brutally. The sweeping cultural changes were forced upon the populace, and those who resisted were often punished. His vision was singular, and he did not tolerate dissent. This is the great paradox of his legacy. He used authoritarian means to build what he hoped would be a lasting democracy. To this day, Atatürk remains a deeply revered but also controversial figure. In Turkey, his portrait hangs in every government office and school. Insulting his memory is a crime. For many, he is the savior who rescued the nation from foreign domination and created a modern, prosperous country. They point to the republic's successes, its democratic institutions, and the rights granted to women as the fruits of his vision. However, critics, both inside and outside Turkey, point to the authoritarian nature of his rule and the forceful suppression of cultural and religious identity. They argue that his brand of secularism was too aggressive, marginalizing religious conservatives and minority groups like the Kurds. The debate over his legacy is not just historical. It is at the very heart of modern Turkish politics. The ongoing struggle between secular and religious forces in Turkey is a direct continuation of the tensions created by Atatürk's revolution. So, was Atatürk a democratic modernizer, or a benevolent dictator, a liberator who set his country on a path to progress, or an autocrat who forced a cultural identity onto his people? The truth, as it so often is in history, is complex and lies somewhere in between. He was a man of his time, a military leader who believed in radical, decisive action. He saw a nation on the brink of collapse and used every tool at his disposal to forge a new one in his own image. The story of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk is a powerful reminder that history is made by bold and often controversial individuals. His legacy is a testament to the idea that a nation's identity is not fixed, but can be radically reshaped by a singular, powerful vision. What do you think? Was his revolution a necessary shock to the system, or a step too far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into history interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe to Historical Figures and Moments. Do you forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration of the figures who shaped our world.